Hello there! Today we are going to learn how to make a minimal Godot Rust template for making games within Rust. First of all, we need to download Godot. Here we are going to use the latest stable version, which is 4.5. I already have installed Cargo, so make sure that you have yours updated. Now we need to create a new project within Godot. Open the Godot binary and click on Create a new project. Here I'm going to choose the Rust template Godot. I'm going to use a mobile preset, but you can choose whatever you want. Select the folder where you want to hold your project. This will open up your Godot editor. We can come back to the Godot Rust main page. Here you can learn more about the project. Now open the book. Get to the Hello World section. In this case we have already completed the setup. For our use case, we will need to set up or create to be a C dynamic library. Now come back to the Godot editor. Open a new terminal. We will create a new cargo project for the Rust library. We will call it Rust. Remember, in this case we will not use any version control system, since the project will be already in a Git directory. Start the Git directory at the root of the project. Add our project files to the current tracking. Since we didn't use any version control system, we will need to add manually a git ignore for the Rust target files. I will just copy and paste this git ignore from this repository. With this setup, we can come back to the cargo settings. Copy this line to indicate that the project will be a dynamic C library. Next, we will install the Godot Rust library into our project. Open up the terminal and move into the grust directory. Here, we will use Cargo to add the Godot Rust library into our Rust project. Next, use Cargo build to compile the project. This will compile our library into our target directory. We will need to write a gdextension file so we can use Godot with our new library. This is to letting know Godot where it can find our library in the different targets. Create a new extension file. We will call it grust gdextension. Copy the content from the page. Make sure to use whatever version of Godot you are targeting. In our case, we will go for the 4.5 stable release. Next, make sure to replace the Rust placeholder library with our own path to our extension library. Likewise, we will need to change the placeholder for the name with our grust library. You can read more about it on the page. Upon reloading the project, Godot should create a new extension.config file that lets Godot know where to find these gdextension files. Now, come back to your code editor and create a gdignore file. This will make the directory invisible for the Godot editor. Now, we will need to follow the Rust entry point from the Godot Rust library, copy the code, and replace the content of the main lib file. You may read some more of the guide. We will continue and create the first class that we will use inside the Godot editor. This will be our player class. Create a new player file. Copy the code from the guide into this new created file. You might read what the code does, but in this case we will just copy that. Declare your new module so your library can find your new class. Now, we will copy the implementation from the guide for your player class. Pay attention that some parts of this code must be added to the previously copied code and not replace that. We will test that everything is going alright. We will use this image of Godot fairies to use it as a player. Now, in the Godot editor, select a new Node 2D scene and add our new created class named player. You may see that it can show a texture since it is an sprite 2D node. We will use our Godot fairies image to represent our player. Just grab our image and select where you want to place our player. Let's run the scene. I will call it main scene. There it is. For now, it only can spin. This helps us to know that the player is currently working as expected. Now, come back to the tutorial so you can copy the remaining code. Remember, you have to replace the physics process function with this new code. Now, compile again and it should reload. Now there it is, our player is rotating. You can also add custom functions. In this case, we will copy the increase speed function and also the speed increases signal. Under your previous code, remember that this will use a separate API. For now, ignore these problems. Here, I had a problem because my cargo version did not match the latest release required by the Godot Rust. Great! Remember to update yours so you don't have this problem. After building, we can come back to the Godot editor. It doesn't seem that anything has changed, but now our player can send signals. Let's write a little bit of gdextension code to try this. You may see that our new signal appears in the node menu. Let's create a little script to the main scene so we can try this signal. In this case, the player may signal that its speed has increased, so let's try this. Let's write a ready function to increase the speed of the player when the scene starts. Here, I added a variable player to point to our node when the scene starts. Next, on the ready function, it increases the speed. We are expecting to print this output when receiving the signal that the player has effectively increased its speed. Let's test this out. There it is! Our signal is working as expected. You can use this template to create more elaborated classes, but everything from the tutorial is now wired up. This template will be available in the Godot Asset Library, so you can use it as a template for your own projects. Remember, after downloading, you still need to use cargo build so the library can be generated. That's it for now. I hope that this tutorial has been useful to you. Have fun using it in your very own Godot projects, and enjoy the Rust experience. See you later!